Stories and Documentary Network.
Long before the modern world spoke of global trade, an ancient empire quietly connected continents. At the heart of Asia, where deserts met mountains and caravans crossed endless horizons, the Kushan civilization rose to power. They ruled the greatest trade network of the ancient world, the Silk Road, linking Rome, Persia, India, and China. Through their lands flowed silk, gold, spices, ideas, and religions. Though often forgotten today, the Kushans shaped history not through conquest alone, but through connection. This is the story of the Lords of the Silk Road. The origins of the Kushan civilization lie far from the cities and monuments they would later build. Their story begins on the windswept steppes of Central Asia, among nomadic tribes known in Chinese historical records as the Yuezhi. These people lived on horseback, moving with their herds, guided by the rhythms of nature and survival. Around the 2nd century BCE, the Yuezhi were driven from their homeland in what is now Western China. Powerful rivals, especially the Xiongnu Confederation, pushed them westward in a slow and difficult migration. This journey reshaped them. As they crossed deserts and valleys, they encountered new peoples, fought new wars, and absorbed foreign customs. Eventually, the Yuezhi reached the rich region of Bactria, located in modern-day Afghanistan and parts of Central Asia. This land had once been ruled by Greek kings who followed Alexander the Great. Though the Greeks had faded from power, their influence remained. Stone cities, organized administration, and a thriving monetary economy. Among the Yuezhi tribes, one group gradually rose above the others, the Kushans. Through leadership, military strength, and political skill, the Kushan clan unified the Yuezhi tribes under a single authority. By the early 1st century CE, the Kushans had transformed from nomadic migrants into settled rulers. Under their early kings, the Kushans expanded rapidly. They crossed the formidable Hindu Kush mountains and moved into northern India, conquering territories that included the fertile Indus and Ganges regions. This expansion placed them at the crossroads of the ancient world. What made the Kushans unique was not only their military success, but their ability to adapt. They did not erase the cultures they conquered. Instead, they adopted and blended them. Greek administrative systems, Persian royal traditions, Indian religious ideas, and Central Asian customs all merged under Kushan rule. The Kushans minted gold coins, something rare in the ancient world, showing a remarkable mix of influences. Greek gods appeared beside Indian deities, written in Greek script but carrying local meanings. This was not confusion, it was strategy. The Kushans ruled over many peoples, and they chose inclusion over uniformity. By the time their empire reached its height, the Kushans were no longer wandering nomads. They were empire builders, masters of trade, rulers of cities, and guardians of the world's most important commercial routes. Their rise marked the beginning of one of the most culturally rich empires of antiquity. The power of the Kushan civilization was deeply rooted in its geography. Their empire stretched across an extraordinary landscape, from the steppes of Central Asia to the plains of northern India. Few empires in ancient history controlled such a diverse and strategically important region. At the heart of Kushan territory lay Bactria, a fertile land fed by rivers and protected by mountains. To the north were vast grasslands, ideal for cavalry and trade routes. To the south rose the towering Hindu Kush mountains, acting both as a natural barrier and a gateway into the Indian subcontinent. This position placed the Kushans directly on the Silk Road, the greatest trade network the ancient world had ever known. Caravans carrying Chinese silk, Indian spices, Roman gold, and Persian silver all passed through Kushan lands. Whoever controlled these routes controlled wealth, diplomacy, and influence. The Kushans understood this better than anyone. They built roads, protected caravans, and established cities that functioned as trade hubs. These cities were not isolated outposts, but vibrant centers of exchange where languages, religions, and ideas met. Geography also shaped Kushan politics. Their empire bordered powerful neighbors, the Roman world to the west, the Parthian Empire in Persia, and the Han Dynasty in China. Rather than engaging in constant warfare, the Kushans often acted as mediators and middlemen, maintaining balance through diplomacy and commerce. The varied environments of the empire, from deserts to fertile river valleys, allowed for a strong agricultural base alongside trade wealth. Crops fed cities, while commerce filled royal treasuries with gold. The Kushan civilization was not built around a single identity. It was a living mosaic shaped by migration, trade, and constant cultural exchange. Within Kushan cities, one could hear many languages, see many traditions, and worship many gods. Diversity was not a weakness of the empire. It was its foundation. Kushan society brought together Central Asian nomads, Greek settlers, Persian administrators, and Indian communities. Each group contributed something essential. The nomadic heritage of the Kushans emphasized mobility, adaptability, and strong leadership. From the Greeks came urban planning, sculpture, and administrative traditions. Persian influences shaped royal authority and ceremonial life, while Indian culture infused the empire with spiritual depth. Religion stood at the heart of Kushan society, and it reflected this cultural fusion more than anything else. The Kushans practiced remarkable religious tolerance. Buddhism, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, Greek polytheism, and local Central Asian beliefs all coexisted under Kushan rule. Temples and monasteries stood beside each other, serving different communities without state persecution. Perhaps the most striking example of this openness was the Kushan support of Buddhism. Under Kushan patronage, Buddhism evolved from a regional Indian faith into a global religion. Monasteries flourished, sacred texts were translated, and Buddhist missionaries traveled along the Silk Road, carrying the teachings of the Buddha as far as Central Asia and China. Art became the visual language of this blended civilization. In the region of Gandhara, Kushan artists created a new artistic tradition unlike anything seen before. Buddha was depicted for the first time in human form, sculpted with Greco-Roman realism. Wavy hair, flowing robes, and calm, idealized features. These statues spoke to both Eastern spirituality and Western artistic sensibilities. Daily life in Kushan cities reflected prosperity and order. Markets bustled with merchants trading silk, spices, precious stones, and metals. Craftsmen produced fine jewelry, textiles, and pottery. Farmers worked fertile lands, while caravans brought foreign goods from distant lands. Writing and communication also showed diversity. Greek script was used on coins, while local languages and scripts appeared in inscriptions and religious texts. This multilingual environment allowed the empire to function smoothly across vast distances and varied populations. Social structure was flexible compared to many ancient empires. While kings and nobles held power, merchants, monks, and artisans enjoyed significant influence. Trade and religion offered paths to wealth and respect beyond birth alone. In Kushan society, identity was not fixed, it was layered. A person could be a trader, a Buddhist devotee, a Greek-speaking official, and a Central Asian descendant all at once. This ability to blend worlds created a civilization that felt modern in spirit, even by today's standards. The greatest achievement of the Kushan civilization was not a single invention or monument. It was the creation of a truly interconnected world. The Kushans turned geography into opportunity and trade into a source of lasting power. By controlling the central sections of the Silk Road, the Kushans became the middle link between East and West. Goods from China, such as silk and lacquerware, passed through Kushan lands on their way to Rome. In return came Roman gold, glassware, and luxury items. From India flowed spices, cotton, ivory, and precious stones. This constant movement of goods required innovation. The Kushans developed one of the most stable and sophisticated monetary systems of the ancient world. They issued high-quality gold coins, standardized in weight and design, trusted across vast regions. These coins were more than currency. They were symbols of imperial authority and cultural unity. Urban development flourished under Kushan rule. Cities like Peshawar and Mathura became centers of administration, religion, and commerce. Roads, rest stops, and caravanserais supported long-distance travel and trade, making the empire both wealthy and well-organized. The Kushans also played a critical role in the spread of ideas. Buddhism traveled along Kushan trade routes, reaching Central Asia and eventually China. Artistic styles, medical knowledge, and philosophical concepts crossed borders freely, reshaping societies far beyond the empire's boundaries. In art and architecture, Kushan achievements were profound. Monumental Buddhist monasteries, stupas, and statues rose across the empire. These structures were not only religious centers, but also hubs of learning and cultural exchange. The Kushans excelled at synthesis. They did not simply copy foreign ideas, they adapted them. Greek artistic realism merged with Indian symbolism. Persian royal imagery blended with Central Asian traditions. The result was a unique cultural language that influenced Asia for centuries. In many ways, the Kushan era represents an early form of globalization. Ideas, beliefs, and technologies moved across continents under their protection. The world became smaller, more connected, and more dynamic because of them. At the center of the Kushan Empire stood a line of powerful rulers who understood both the sword and the spirit. These kings were not merely conquerors, they were symbols of unity in a diverse empire. One of the earliest and most important rulers was Kujula Kadphises. He laid the foundations of Kushan power by uniting the Yuezhi tribes and establishing control over Bactria. His reign marked the transformation of the Kushans from tribal leaders into imperial rulers. Kujula's successors expanded this vision, but it was Vima Kadphises who truly elevated the empire's wealth and prestige. Under his rule, gold coinage became widespread, reflecting both economic strength and international trade connections. His coins portrayed him with divine symbols, reinforcing the sacred nature of kingship. The most legendary Kushan ruler, however, was Kanishka the Great. Kanishka's reign marked the golden age of the Kushan Empire. His territories stretched from Central Asia deep into northern India. But his true legacy lay not in conquest alone, but in cultural and religious leadership. Kanishka became a devoted patron of Buddhism. Under his support, great monasteries were built, and a major Buddhist council was convened, helping formalize Buddhist doctrine. This moment would shape the future of Buddhism across Asia. Yet, Kanishka did not impose his beliefs on others. His coins show a remarkable variety of deities: Greek gods, Persian gods, Indian gods, standing side by side. This was a deliberate message. The Kushan king ruled under the protection of all faiths. Later rulers continued this tradition, though the empire gradually faced growing pressures. Maintaining control over vast territories required constant diplomacy and military readiness. Still, Kushan kings remained skilled administrators, balancing regional autonomy with central authority. These rulers positioned themselves as mediators between heaven and earth. They were kings chosen by divine favor, protectors of trade, patrons of religion, and guardians of cultural harmony. Their leadership allowed the Kushan Empire to thrive for centuries, not as a fragile state held together by fear, but as a living network bound by shared prosperity. Ruling an empire as vast and diverse as the Kushan realm was never easy. Its strength, its size, diversity, and openness was also its greatest challenge. Stretching from the steppes of Central Asia to the heart of northern India, the empire had to balance many cultures, languages, and political traditions under one crown. Externally, the Kushans lived among powerful neighbors. To the west stood the Parthian Empire, a rival for control over trade routes and influence in Persia. To the east lay the Han Dynasty of China, equally invested in Silk Road commerce. Southward, powerful Indian kingdoms competed for territory and resources. Diplomacy was essential, but conflict was often unavoidable. Internally, the Kushans faced the constant difficulty of governing distant regions. Communication was slow, and local elites held significant power. Maintaining loyalty required compromise, regional autonomy, and economic stability. A strong ruler could hold the empire together, but weak leadership risked fragmentation. Military pressure never disappeared. Nomadic groups from the north tested the empire's borders, while rebellious territories sometimes resisted central authority. The Kushans relied heavily on cavalry, a legacy of their nomadic past, but defending long frontiers drained resources over time. Economic challenges also emerged. The empire's wealth depended heavily on trade. Any disruption to Silk Road routes, caused by war, instability, or shifting trade patterns, had immediate consequences. As global trade networks changed, the Kushans faced increasing difficulty maintaining their economic dominance. Religious diversity, while largely a strength, occasionally became a source of tension. Different communities held deep loyalties to their traditions, and balancing religious patronage required careful leadership. The Kushans succeeded more often than not, but the complexity of their society made unity fragile. The empire endured these challenges for generations, but each struggle left its mark. Over time, cracks appeared, not from one great disaster, but from the slow accumulation of pressure. Holding the empire together demanded constant effort, and eventually, that effort began to falter. The decline of the Kushan Empire was not sudden. There was no single battle, no dramatic collapse. Instead, the empire slowly transformed, its power fading as the world around it changed. By the 3rd century AEE, the Kushans faced growing threats from the west. The rise of the Sasanian Empire in Persia challenged Kushan control over key territories and trade routes. Kushan lands in Bactria were gradually taken over or reduced to vassal states, weakening the empire's economic and political core. At the same time, internal divisions deepened. Regional rulers gained more independence, weakening central authority. Without strong leadership to unify the realm, the empire fractured into smaller political units. Trade patterns shifted as well. Maritime trade routes began to rival overland Silk Road paths. As goods increasingly traveled by sea, the Kushans lost their strategic monopoly over long-distance commerce. Wealth that once flowed through their cities now bypassed them. In India, new dynasties rose, absorbing former Kushan territories and reshaping the political landscape. The Kushan identity gradually blended into local cultures, its rulers becoming part of regional histories rather than imperial ones. Yet this transformation was not entirely destructive. Kushan institutions, religious centers, and artistic traditions continued to exist long after political power faded. Buddhism thrived. Gandharan art influenced generations of artists, and trade networks continued to function under new rulers. The Kushan Empire did not disappear. It dissolved into the civilizations it once connected. The true legacy of the Kushan civilization lies not in monuments alone, but in the connections it created. Long before modern globalization, the Kushans demonstrated how exchange could shape history. They played a decisive role in spreading Buddhism beyond India, helping transform it into a global religion. Without Kushan patronage, Buddhism's journey to Central Asia and China might have looked very different. Their artistic legacy, especially Gandharan art, redefined religious imagery. The human representation of Buddha, influenced by Greek realism, became the foundation for Buddhist art across Asia. The Kushans also left behind a model of multicultural governance. They ruled not by erasing differences, but by embracing them. In a world often divided by identity, their example feels strikingly relevant today. Archaeological discoveries continue to reveal the Kushan story. Coins, statues, inscriptions, and ruins that testify to a civilization built on movement and exchange. Each discovery adds a new piece to a global puzzle. In modern Central and South Asia, the Kushans remain part of cultural memory, woven into histories of trade, religion, and art. Their empire reminds us that influence does not always come from conquest, but from connection. The Kushan Empire has long faded from maps, but its echoes still travel the ancient roads of Asia. In stone Buddhas, in forgotten cities, and in the shared heritage of East and West, their story lives on. They were nomads who became kings, traders who became builders of civilizations. Along the Silk Road, where worlds once met, the legacy of the Kushans still whispers, reminding us that history's greatest power lies not in domination, but in connection.